Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an awesome week so far. And if this is your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. I'd really appreciate it. And today we have a new program review for you. We're going to be going over Barbell Medicine's Powerbuilding Template 1. So let's get started. So first things first, Barbell Medicine is a website that kind of gives a combination of both health and fitness. It's run primarily by a lot of actual physicians or physical therapists, not so much strength and conditioning coaches. There are a few of those on the team, but the founder is an actual physician. That's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of times when you look at physicians, they don't exactly know the best stuff in the world when it comes to exercise or diet, but in this case, they're actually very knowledgeable, the ones on the website here for this one for Barbell Medicine. So you know that you're going to be getting actually good information, and they actually compete in a lot of sports like powerlifting or strongman. A lot of people on the team here themselves, so they have a lot of experience in that. Now, the program itself, again, it's their Powerbuilding 1 template. They actually have a second one, I guess, that you continue with after this, but I wanted to go over the first one. And overall, I actually liked it. I liked it a lot. There are a couple of caveats that I do have. I'll go over those at the end, but to start with, the program overall, I think, was well laid out and logical and makes a whole lot of sense. Now, when you sign up for it, you're actually given this very large guide on how to get started with it, along with an FAQ page and a whole load of other information, actually. So it goes over pretty much every aspect of the program itself. So you get a lot of information. If there's anything that you're not sure about, it pretty much explains all of that, from how to read the templates to how to understand the exercises. You're given an exercise list and links to how to do all of those exercises. And then there's the spreadsheet that you're given that has not only the template itself, but a bunch of tabs at the bottom there that you click on. Then you'll see there's one for analysis, calculator, overview, and then each individual week in detail. And you also are given for each of those weeks a template to write in exactly how much weight that you used for it. And the nice thing about it is that it actually does a lot of calculations for it. So like I mentioned, there's a calculator tab and an analysis tab, and when you record down the weight that you used, it'll actually calculate the RPE for you and your overall progress in the analysis tab, so you can keep track of it that way from week to week without having to kind of guess or anything. No, it gives you complete detailed graphs on how you're progressing and whether you need to back off at all, or if you're on the right path in terms of weight you're using, or you've guessed your RPE correctly. I'll go over RPE in just a second, and stuff like that. So it's amazing and really great that they included this much for you, especially with the value. This program overall was $55. Now that might seem quite a bit, but I've seen a lot of other programs, especially ones that are $100, almost twice as much, that don't offer as much explanation or information or as much help and step-by-step help as this program did. So a lot of value here with it. And I overall just love that they included this calculator section and the analysis section and the overall overview section as well, and that you have a space in the Excel spreadsheet to record all of your progress there, and then again it calculates it all for you, your progress. So that is awesome that they included all those things. Now, the way that the program is structured is over a 10-week period, and the way that I could tell here is that weeks 1 through 5, you're making progress by increasing not only overall load, but basing it off of RPE. RPE, I can tell, stays pretty much the same throughout the weeks 1 through 5. There might be a little increase towards weeks 4 and 5, but the reason they stated this way is because they don't want you jumping too much, and also the fact that, in theory anyway, your RPE that you're going to be basing off of, because this is going to be how you determine how much you weigh, is going to be increasing from week to week. The RPE again stays the same, but your weight you use will increase from week to week. Again, that's in theory. So even if it's only 5 pounds, that's still an increase. Now, once you get to week 6, that is a deload week from what I could tell. So you do weeks 1 through 5, you progress on that, and then you back off on week 6, and then the remaining weeks 7 through 10, again, you progress more, and that one actually gets much harder because weeks 1 through 5, you are at an RPE of around 7 or 8, maybe a 6 in some of those exercises, and then once you get through your deload week in week 6, you then after that get into an RPE of 7 or 8, or actually up to 9 in some of them. So it actually gets much harder, but they do this by design because, as the program says, it's a power building program. It's centering itself around the 3 main lifts, the squat, the deadlift, and the bench press, and increasing not only your overall strength in those lifts, but your overall mass and everything. And the only way to do that is to increase your weight and make the intensity increase as well. Now, having said that, while I do like the program overall, again, I mentioned there are a couple of caveats. The first one I have is one similar that I had for other programs, in that they do have the deadlift program this. Again, there's nothing necessarily wrong with the deadlift. If you're a power lifter, you need to use it, and especially since you're going to be competing in it. If you're, say, an Olympic lifter, you're going to be doing deadlifts, a little bit different type of deadlift, but you'll still be doing it. And if you're a strongman, you might be doing deadlifts as well. But other than that, if you're just part of the general population, you're not really competing in anything, I don't think, again, that the deadlift, the conventional deadlift, or even the sumo deadlift is necessarily the best way to go. I think the trap bar deadlift is a better way, just because it'll have all the same benefits of increasing overall strength and mass, but again, in a much safer way. So I think you should be substituting in the deadlift where it states, and do that with the trap bar deadlift instead. Now, this ties into actually something that I've talked about in previous program reviews, which is exercise substitutions. Now, this program in particular, in the explanation packet, it says that some of their templates actually comes with a tab in their spreadsheet called exercise selection, and there you can actually pick the exercises that you want to do for some of the work sets, for some of those exercises that it lists. This is not one of those templates though. This one comes with predetermined or recommended exercises, as they say. So there's no exercises you can kind of substitute with, at least not with a table or drop-down menu as they normally would have in some other templates. This, again, is something that I wouldn't necessarily say an issue with, but there is going to come a time when you're going to need to or want to substitute a particular exercise. Like I mentioned right before this, I personally would substitute the deadlift with the trap bar deadlift, and there's also another exercise or two in there that I personally would substitute out, such as the overhead press that has one of those as listed as the exercise that it recommends. But again, with me, with my kyphosis, I can't really do this movement very well with a barbell. That's just not practical or the best one for me to do, so I would have to substitute out with something else. So again, I know how to do all that, but again, a lot of people may not, and they have no explanation of making substitution. Just that some of their templates comes with a tab there that you can pick some exercise and do, but again, like I said, this is not one of those templates that provides that. So I think they definitely should have included that in there. It wouldn't have added a whole giant section or much more than what they included, just something that they should have included. Then there's the template overall, which is a little bit confusing, or it could be confusing for some people, again, especially since you're basing everything off of RPE, or at least that's what it's recommending, or everything off of your 1RM, the percentage of it. So again, even though I mentioned it'll calculate all that for you if you record it from day to day and each week in the template it provides in the sheet for each individual week, it still can be a little bit confusing to follow. Now, the explanations and everything it provides is good. It provides a very detailed explanation of how to read everything, how to determine your RPE, including a table of the scale itself and how determining all that. And it even talks about how varying it from day to day or week to week for you personally can actually be an advantage, which in some ways I guess I can agree with. But overall, it still can be a little bit confusing. Just make sure that you read that guide carefully and everything that they explain in it, and take some notes on it if you have to. Don't skip the guide. Make sure you read it all in full detail to make sure you understand everything that they explain and make sure you understand the program. All right, guys, so that is my overall thoughts on Barbell Medicine's Powerbuilding 1 template. My final score for them will be an 8.5 out of 10. Like I mentioned, I think the program overall is great. It's logical. It definitely will help building your overall strength, especially in these lifts, and your overall mass. It's laid out well, and it is going to be safe, and it's going to push you a bit. But like I mentioned, there's a couple caveats, such as the warm-up could have been a little bit better. They need that section on exercise substitutions. The deadlift itself should be substituted out for a trap bar deadlift unless you're actually competing in a sport, and some other stuff like that. But overall, definitely like it. I would recommend giving the program a try. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this review for today. If there's another program you want to review, comment down below and I'll certainly get to it. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do that as well by hitting that button down below, and I will see you guys next week.